got no makeup. Honestly, I look good anyway. No. Guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to talk about just kind of a series, but this will be the first episode of it. I want to talk about all the blessings God has given me in terms of my career, and talk about a couple shows I've been in so far as a mere 21-year-old. So this should be fun. I haven't talked about this in a really long time. So where do I begin? Okay, so in high school, I think this was my junior year. Yes, the beginning of my junior year. I had only been in like 3 musicals, maybe 4, maybe more than that. And so I got an email from my dance teacher, who's like my mentor to this day. I got an email from her that was an audition for West Side Story, a production that Carnegie Hall was putting together, right? And I didn't know what West Side Story was at this time. I know, shame on me, as a junior. Was I a sophomore or junior? I think I was a junior. So I didn't know West Side Story at all, but I saw you needed to like know salsa, and like I was like, oh, perfect, I can do that, right? And so I went to the initial audition. I had like the worst character shoes. I think I borrowed a skirt from my school. It was just like, whatever, you know? So I went to this audition. It was an open call. And this was my first professional audition. I didn't even really think too much of it. I kind of knew about Carnegie Hall, but really I was just like, I'm gonna go. Should be fun. My teacher sent it to me. She was really pushing me to do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. So the initial audition, I remember there were so many kids, and at first we did like a salsa / hip hop combination. It was super dope. And then after that we did ballet across the floor. And I've had training, but like not the greatest training, you know. I had enough to not look like a mess, and I also just had a lot of heart. So I think that's the majority of the reason why I did so well. And so after that, they did cuts that same day. It was maybe like 80 people, cut it down to like 50, then cut it down again to like 30, and then we had to sing. And so my song choice was All That Jazz from Chicago. It was the easiest in my vocal range. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I remember that I didn't realize until after that the person who was auditioning us was like the music director of Chicago, and I didn't even know that. Isn't that ridiculous? And so I remember in the audition, she was like telling me like, what do you think you're feeling in this moment? I guess because I was doing it really happy, and All That Jazz is like really seductive and everything like that. But anyways, I did enough, and it went down. It was cut down to two girls, right? I knew that it would either be between me and another friend of mine who was in my high school, who was also auditioning, that was a year older than me, because we're also basically the same exact type. So I'm like, it's gonna be between me and her. And I was sure I was gonna get cut and she was gonna be picked over me, because she was even called out. Like in the audition, they wanted her to dance because they were like, this girl's it, like look at what she's doing. And I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this, right? I really did not think I was gonna get this, and it ended up being me and some white girl, and that was the two. They picked us 2 out of like 80 kids, and I was shocked. Like, I don't even think you understand. I was literally like, what? I remember being flabbergasted. So I got picked. Little did I know this would be the beginning of the process that I had like 10 auditions after that. I mean, there was a lot. So after that, I got emailed, and so basically this production of West Side Story was, I was auditioning for the apprenticeship of it. So there was a full-on like adult cast. A lot of them weren't equity, a lot of them were. And there were like 10 students that they picked to be in the show with the adults. We were basically a part of the cast. And so me and the girl and then another guy that I don't know when they auditioned him, but they invited us to audition with the adults. I remember I was a wreck. There were like full-on adults around me, and they were like dancing killer. I don't even remember if I did well. Honestly, I got it, so obviously I wasn't awful. But I'm like in this audition room with all these adults and this was their callback. So this was also my callback. I guess they just wanted to see how we compared next to the professionals. And then after that, we had a private session, just me and the white girl. We had a private session with the choreographer of the casting, and I think maybe a music director was there. And this session, I just remember they were like working us to the core. It was literally just me and this girl, and we're like doing like America. It was, I just remember this was like the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life thus far. Like this process was so long, and I've never gone through a process like this before. And I started in the beginning of the open call, which normally happens to me. After that, after like the fourth callback, I had another callback. And this time the white girl that I had started with wasn't here anymore. I don't know why. And so it was me and this guy and this kid. And I'm like, what are we gonna do today? Little did I know it would be another callback for a whole like 40 group of other kids that this was their callback. So I was literally just being dragged along this whole process and still didn't know if I was gonna book it or not. So this was like their second callback. This was like my fourth. And this is when my insecurities really started to kick in, because the people in this room were like LaGuardia, PBS dancers, some kids from Jersey, like kids from all over the tri-state area. And I was like, I'm definitely gonna get like cut now. But little did I know that they had already booked me and knew they wanted me. They were just bringing me along. So because I know I wasn't the best one in that room. They were. I remember I was struggling. I also remember I had like the wrong shoes. This always happens to me, but I'm never prepared. I just feel like I'm just lucky and I'm just like winging it. And so this is when I met majority of the people who ended up actually booking. And I think we did Cool. I don't remember if we did America. I think there was also another like quick callback after that where we did America. And then officially when that was over, I got an email, said that I got booked as Pauline, one of the Jet girls. Also with this production, it was all mixed, so it didn't really matter what like nationality or race you were. Everyone was like kind of mixed in each one. And then after that, the apprentices, so just the young kids, we had to audition for one of the main principal roles. Two of the main principal roles was someone, wait, what was the roles? It was someone to be like one of the main Jet boys, and then someone to be, dang, I love this show and I can't even remember what the name was. Name again? Of the tomboy? I suck. I'm gonna have to Google this because it's gonna annoy me. Like two of the young kids. I didn't get any of those. It's okay. But it was still great. So yeah, that was the audition process. I mean, it was lengthy, like freaking long, and it was a lot, but I finally did it. So what I loved about booking this is that I literally was never in school. Like I had an excuse. Like we got letters from Carnegie Hall that we can give to our principals so that they let us like leave school early. It was dope. I was really living life. We went to the rehearsal process. What was the name of that studio? Gosh, I totally forgot what the name of that studio. Okay, totally don't remember. However, that was the same studio I auditioned for the first time of the West Side Story revival. Another story for another video. But so we were rehearsing in this huge studio, and I was living like the real professional, like Broadway star life. It was incredible. I mean, the dancing was hard as heck. The choreographer, we had two choreographers. It was Sean Chessman and Julio Mongi. I'm so bad with names. But so those were our two choreographers, and I mean, they like the choreographers were like, they knew they casted young like dancers who, like, if we were dancing next to the professionals, you wouldn't tell. Like you couldn't tell that we were the kids. You know what I mean? So that was really cool, and that was a moment when I realized, like, if I'm here, that means I'm good and I belong and I deserve to be here, you know? And so the process was super long. What were some else? We had like fittings. That was the first time I felt super like, you know, special. It's like, oh, I can pick whatever I want. Oh, this is the life. Like, being a part of the show was the reason why I wanted to seriously pursue musical theater. I just like fell in love with the process. There were some apprentices that definitely were able to do more in the show, like the two students who were like the principal roles. Like they were able to stay and like do like the music rehearsals because they were actually singing. I really don't think that I was even singing in the show. Yeah, definitely wasn't. I mean, the women in West Side Story already don't really have that much to do. But yeah, so overall it was like something, it was just amazing that I was even able to be a part of that. I remember when we got into Tech Week, I asked one of the choreographers, I was just really curious as to why he picked me out of all these kids he had seen, especially in the open call, because I started in the beginning of the process. And I will never forget what this man said to me. I mean, it changed my life. He was like, you were a part of the first few kids we saw. And he was like, he picked me because he saw not only was I like super capable of doing the movement and the choreography, but also I had a spark and I had a heart that was instantly noticeable. And he was like, I need that. And he said, I don't know if he was just lying to me, but he said from that point on, when he knew that I was going to be in the show, to like all the other kids he had auditioned, the whole time he was thinking about, we need to find people who are like Reina. He was like, we need to find dancers and kids to be in the show that are like her. And I remember he told me that and I was like, what? Like, this whole time in this process, I was thinking, I am not good enough to be here. Like, all these other dancers that they booked are way better than me. I mean, they go to better schools, they have better technique, they have better training. I remember we had a rehearsal for this, for one of the numbers that was like the ballet number, and ballet at the time was still not my best, but like I was really bad at it, and I still have awful feet, but I remember I was just like, I think I cried that day because I was really struggling and I couldn't do like basic things, and all these dancers were around me and they were just like great, and I'm like struggling. And so when he told me that during Tech Week, I was like, that's insane. Like, I just couldn't believe that. It's gonna stay with me forever. So that was really nice to hear. And also, not to mention, Skylar Aston was in the show, and I fell in love with him. If you don't know him, he was in the original cast of Spring Awakening on Broadway. He's in Glee, he's in Pitch Perfect, he's in everything, and I am obsessed with him. I literally would sit and eat lunch with him like he would be across from me and we're eating lunch, and I'm like, like, superstar, right? And then not only that, like all the other like adult actors and artists in the show, they're doing great things now. Like in the beginning, I think for a lot of them, this was their first like big gig. I know the Anita in the show was in Chicago. There were a couple other like principal roles where like they're already big names, but majority of the ensemble and principal actors had just started. Like, this was their big first show. So now a lot of them are in Hamilton, or doing better than Hamilton. Some of them are in Moulin Rouge. Some of them are in Netflix TV shows, Tiny Little Things. Some of them are like doing West Side Story all over the world. Some of them are on tours. Like, I've worked side by side with these actors when I was a junior, and it's like crazy to think. And so I learned so much from them. They were just like all my brothers and sisters, like great mentors. I know there's a lot of dramas surrounded with the show now that I didn't know about at that age, because they didn't want like the kids to know about it. But apparently, like a lot of the creative team hated each other and all these things, but they hid it very well from us. So, but it was like the best experience I had. Like, it was the very first professional thing I did, and not only that, it just changed the course of my life and my career. I'm going to post a lot of pictures and videos at the end of this, or during as well, so you guys can see. But it was incredible, and I'm so grateful because that really sparked a lot for me, and it was the beginning of my young high school career, and I just prayed that's not gonna be the last exciting thing I do in my life. I hope I keep on doing more stuff, but you will see in the rest of these series I will talk about the other main shows that I have been in high school and after. First time, we only got paid a stipend, but that was the first time I made a lot of cash. It was only $500, but that was like, you know, I don't even know what I spent it on. Probably on, I don't know. Shout out to the West Side Story cast, Carnegie Hall. I love you guys so much. I love seeing everything that you're doing. And it's actually really, really crazy. Like, I am still in auditions with a lot of these actors. Like, now that I'm 21, like, it's just weird. It's crazy. Crazy. One thing I did want to talk about, and I think I'm gonna mention this in every video that I upload. In every show that I've been in and every blessing that I've gotten, there's always a moment where I, like, once I get the blessing, I just like spiral into like a sea of insecurities of like, I don't deserve this, like I don't belong here, like everyone is way better than me. And it's crazy because you would think that I would do that while I'm auditioning. Like, I think I just force myself not to do that and just focus on what I'm doing so that I at least book it. But then after I book shows, it's like I'm consumed with these like thoughts, just like I don't belong here, like I really am not good, like why am I here? And it's crazy to think that I do that. And so I'm in the process of figuring out the root of that, and I'm in the process of unveiling that, so like I don't do that anymore, so that I don't like become my own stumbling block. But it's also, I know this is also something that like artists do in general, so that is also difficult. But I just wanted to mention for myself and also for the people watching that, you know, when you work really hard for something and you get to that point in your life where like you are getting, where you're booking things and making the work that you want to make, you are deserving of it, and you work very hard for it, and if you get it, that means you deserve to be there. And I think that's something that we artists need to remind ourselves of every single day. Okay, I hope you liked my little story time. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe and comment. Bye guys. Love you.
Could it be? Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good. If I can wait, something's coming. Here comes the chance, yeah! And we're gonna beat every last fucking game on the whole block.